What is going on? Brandon here, and this video is completely different than anything else on the channel. This has not got anything to do with video games. This is actually a video that's got more to do with me personally, something that's been going on for a while now, and I debated making videos about it in the past as this has been going on, more to ask for assistance from my community, but it turns out I didn't actually need to do that, and now it is escalated into something that is a story that is just interesting, and I decided to just share with you guys. Now, as some of you may know, shortly after I started this channel, my sister-in-law had passed away, and I didn't make videos for a while after that happened. She had passed away. She was very, very young, and it really took its toll on my family, especially my wife and my mother-in-law. I mean, I had known this girl. Me and my wife have been together for going on 14 years. I've known this girl that whole time. So, and before that, before my wife and I were even officially dating, so I watched this girl grow up, and it hit me pretty hard. But I mean, it really, obviously, took its toll on my wife and my mother-in-law, and it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking for the whole family, and a lot's been going on with that. But a few months ago, we started noticing things were missing on her gravesite. My mother-in-law and my wife and the rest of my sister-in-law's family, they all really like to make sure that her gravesite at least reflects the person that she is. And they put nice things out there, solar lights, dream catchers, wind chimes, all kinds of really nice things that are meant to reflect the kind of kid my sister-in-law was. And we started noticing things were coming up missing. The first time we noticed it, it was just a couple small items, things that were fragile, so we didn't know if maybe the graveyard keeper had accidentally broke something. So we didn't think much of it. We didn't really think, oh, well, surely nobody's stealing from us. So nobody's stealing from her. Surely people aren't that crappy. So we didn't think anything of it. And then a couple weeks went by, we went back over there, and more things were missing. And started wondering, okay, what's going on? So, again though, thought maybe a family member had come and took something they had already put out there and was going to bring something else out there, because I know my wife does that. She does it seasonally. She'll go, if it's Christmas time, she'll put Christmas stuff out there, if it's, stuff like that. So we didn't know if maybe a family member had done that, didn't think anything of it. Well, a couple more weeks go by, we go out there, and everything was gone. Everything that was on the gravesite was gone. There was only like a broken solar light that was still left out there. Everything else gone. She had geodes that she'd collected when she was younger. Those were gone, and they were huge. They were big and heavy. Somebody took those, took pretty much everything that was out there. Everything that was out there was gone. So a police report was filed, and we're told, well, there's no security out here. We can't really do much of it. You're just gonna have to file a police report, and maybe somehow we'll get lucky. Well, that wasn't good enough for me or the rest of my family. So we decided to do things on our own. We went out and we got a hunting camera, or actually a couple of them. We got a couple hunting cameras. We got a tracking device, one of those little GPS things you could activate. And we decided we're gonna find out who is doing this. And lo and behold, we'd initially planned on putting a bait object out there with the tracker inside of it, something real nice, something that if the person was going to steal it, they were going to steal that. But we didn't even get that far into the plan before the culprit struck again. And this time it was with just one solar light that my mother-in-law had put out there the 2 days before. So me and my mother-in-law and my wife had gone out there. My mother-in-law put the solar light out there, and then 2 2.5 days later, my mother-in-law went out there and realized, Brandon, the solar light's missing. Somebody has took it, and so we pulled the camera, pulled the footage off there, and I went through and it was set up on time lapse, and sure enough, in the 2 days there had only been one car and one person stopped at that gravesite, and it was this person. They stopped, got out real fast, ran over, grabbed something, got back in, and left. And you can see through the time-lapse photos, they started to drive past. This female points at an object, clearly that she wants. Her wonderful boyfriend backs up so she can get out, grabs it off my sister-in-law's grave, gets back in and goes. So we were mad. We were pretty livid. We discovered that it was whoever owned this Jeep was involved with whoever is doing this, whoever's taking from these graves. Speaking with more people in our community, we started realizing that this was a big issue. Apparently, regularly, people were getting things stolen off graves out there at that cemetery. So we decided this cannot stand. We need to figure out who this is and make it stop. So instantly, I had enhanced the photos as best as I possibly could with them being at that distance. There wasn't anywhere to really put cameras out there, so I had to be very creative putting cameras up, and this was the only one that actually caught anything from that area because it was just too hard to get any angles, as this was the best angle we had to know anytime anybody visited the grave. So luckily this is the one that caught it but didn't catch the license plate. So we took it to the internet, and through Reddit and Facebook, altogether the post got over 4,000 shares about what had been happening with the pictures, saying somebody please help us identify these. And it unfolded beautifully and at the same time hilariously, because we ended up having a person write us telling us they knew the car lot that the Jeep had been bought of a couple weeks prior to this happening, because it had that very distinct front tow bar, blacked out wheels. This was a very distinct Jeep, especially for this small town area. So from there we managed to find out who actually owned the Jeep, meaning who was driving the Jeep. And then it was just a process of figuring out who it could have possibly been in that circle that had been taking from my sister-in-law and other people out there on the grave, even, or the graveyard. Needless to say, we ended up figuring out that it was a woman who was dating the man that owned the Jeep, and when we found out it was her, the responses were hilarious. I could not imagine the amount of support the community showed when, because the community is who figured out who this woman was before we actually figured it out. And when we found out, and we obviously look at the woman's picture and look at the woman that we see in this picture getting out, that's the only person that stopped at that grave. She's girlfriend to the guy that owns the Jeep. And then we got confirmation from a few family members that yes, this is her. She's got some of the stolen items in the house. And we actually managed to get one of them back as sort of proof for when we went to the police that yes, this person has been stealing for months now off, I know, at least my sister-in-law's grave. And when it came out, when everybody started figuring out that it was this woman, without me or my wife even saying, hey, it's this person, I mean, the community figured it out faster than we did, and they were able to connect the dots pretty quickly. They all started going and commenting on her pictures, saying, she posted one picture was, I don't like raindrops on my window, and people were commenting, well, we don't like people that steal from the dead. I mean, it got pretty rowdy, and her excuse, when she finally did reach out to try to make an excuse for what she was doing in that photo, was wrong place, wrong time. Her excuse for what she was actually doing out at the graveyard was taking a shit. That was her excuse. Said she had ate, and she was going to visit a loved one out there, and she has gallbladder issues, and she had to shit, so she went to shit in the graveyard. Now, according to the text message where she made this excuse, she was going to a wooded area to shit. There is no wooded area out there. It's all graveyard, and then there's a fence and a big open field next to a road. There is no wooded area. There's only a few trees. Trust me, I know, because it was really hard finding places to put these cameras. Another thing is, the camera only takes so many pictures a second. I think it takes like 4 pictures a second, 24/7. And for 2 days, she was the only one that was out there. And she was only in frame for a total of a minute. So this woman thinks that she was able to flash across the field, out of the view of the camera, shit, and get back all within less than a minute. Because the camera only captures so many frames a minute. So it's just hilarious that she's going to try to use this excuse. I would never in a million years use the excuse I was not stealing from a grave. I was shitting on it. I think that's not just me. I'm sure many people would understand that's not an excuse. But if you're gonna lie, don't lie about something stupid as saying you shit on a grave. Use your head a little bit if you're gonna make up stories. But yeah, so needless to say, we went to the police. The charges have been filed. A prosecutor is taking it from here, and with the help of the internet, more than the police, we were able to find out who was stealing from my sister-in-law's grave. And that is why I decided to share this story with you. Because the internet can be used for a lot of bad things, but in this case it was used to help my family figure out who was stealing from my dead sister. So I can't thank you guys, any of you that helped me out on Twitter, anybody that helped out on Facebook, but any of you that helped out on Reddit, on Twitter, on Facebook, on here that I've talked to, any of you that have helped out with this whole thing, and even those of you that didn't get to help out because you didn't know what was going on, but understand where I was coming from, thank you all so much for the support and everything over the last few months while we've been trying to figure this out. Now, I gotta sign off here before my camera dies again because I've already had to recharge it like 4 times. But thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed the story, and I'll see you all next time.